Hi, I'm Angela.
And I'm Trish, and we're here to talk about
bad words in business. The business of closing deals, calling out the BS, and navigating the chaos of life.
Because contracts aren't the only things that need fine print.
We run into a lot of issues. This is a big one that we've run into a few times, earnest money. So earnest money is negotiated right out the beginning. It's on the contract. Sometimes a seller wants to get the earnest money right out of the gate. So if a buyer brings in $5,000, sometimes the contract says that $5,000 goes to the seller after X amount of days. So what we do is we just release it based on what the contract says. Sometimes it just sits till closing, and then it goes, no matter what, it always goes towards the purchase.
Right.
But sometimes a deal will cancel, and it's not always because of something, like if it cancels because the seller couldn't get financed or inspection. If it's an inspection, usually what'll happen is it's refunded back to the seller if it doesn't pass inspection. But sometimes it'll cancel for, let's just say, financing. And then the seller's like, well, I still want to collect the earnest money. I've been tied up in escrow for 30 days and blah, 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 or 60 days or whatever the case is. And then it becomes a fight. And then you're going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And then finally, what'll happen is it goes to arbitration, where we, Northwest Escrow and Title, we have to get rid of that money. So we have to dump our accounts after a certain amount of time. We're only allowed to have the funds for a certain amount of time for transactions if they're not going to close. And so what'll happen is they'll take that. Sometimes it's a measly like $3,000, which to me that's measly, because in the end, when you're paying an attorney and all the things,
right,
you're going to spend that whole $3,000 just fighting it just to be right. So earnest money to me is a huge one, because as both a buyer and a seller regularly, as a buyer, I want my freaking money back. So that contract better say what I mean to say. And as a seller, that contract better say what I mean to say as well. So pay attention. Sometimes your agent doesn't know this, and sometimes they do know, but they forget to mention it. So always ask them, like, what happens to my earnest money if, have like the scenarios, because, and same with the seller, what happens if this doesn't happen? What happens if they decide that they don't want to buy it tomorrow? Because that happens too. People have buyer's remorse and they'll use any excuse to get out of it.
right.
But those are situations.
We actually did have that come up, where the buyers could not get financing. They were pre-approved, but when it came down to it, they could not get the financing, and the seller wanted the $20,000 that they had put in earnest money. And so that one ended up going into, you're sending over I think it's the Form 51 to get your earnest money back. And the seller wouldn't sign it.
Mm-hmm.
So then what ends up happening is we get a demand to release, and then it goes into 22 days. And then after 22 days, then it goes to arbitration. And, they ended up settling. They ended up coming to an agreement because the buyer felt with what they were going to have to pay for attorney's fees, it just wasn't worth it. So they did come to an agreement, but good Lord, people.
Yeah. And another big one that we haven't actually had is wire fraud. We, knock on wood, have been lucky because we pay attention to wires. But with paying attention, I've also talked to, we're governed by the insurance commissioner, and we get to talk to them all the time because they audit you and all the things. They don't leave you alone. But I was talking to them about wires one time, and what happens is people are washing the wire instructions as well. So they're changing them up and they're getting them over to companies like ours. And when we go to send the wire, it's going to a completely different account. And unfortunately, you can't get that money back. And so that's why we carry E&O insurance, which is errors and omissions. So if we do screw up, we have insurance. However, one of the companies, it was a small company, they just had this happen to them and it was $250,000 and they ended up having to close their doors because they sent out $250,000 in error to the wrong account. So again, another thing that you should be getting it from your title and escrow company or giving it to your title and escrow company with like secured. It has to be secured. Right. If it's not secured, if you're not sending it through a portal or something, or if you're not getting it from email and it's got a password on it, then you are putting yourself in a situation, a potential situation. We like to think that email's secure, but let's be real, it's not. Nothing's secure anymore.
And if when you are sending it, if you are unsure of what it looks like and the numbers that are on there, so your ABA and your routing number and then the account number, you just make a phone call.
Yeah.
The other side of it is go to the bank and let your bank do it, because they will call and confirm what your routing number and what your account number is. It's got our address on it. It's got our phone number on it. And everybody tries to make it as secure as they can. Have somebody do it for you. Go straight to the bank. It's coming from the bank to us. They're now responsible. Kind of takes it away from you.
Yeah. And I always let everybody know, like, if I'm sending a wire, I tell them I sent a wire today, be there today. Let me know if you don't get it, because which that's easy. A quick email saying like, hey, send it today, or I'll text and say, send it today. And then whoever's getting it will confirm. And that way we just start tracking it really well. I do it for myself as well, because I'm like, hello, I don't want to lose any money. I don't care if it's $5 or 5,000 or what, 50,000. I want to know where the heck that money's going and make sure it gets received. Even if I've already talked to the person and it's confirmed, like I know it's confirmed, but still I'm going to double check it because.
And you should.
I'm not trying to.
Absolutely. You should.
Yeah. That's another big one. Those are probably, I think those are our biggest ones. So don't wash checks. Please don't not disclose liens. Don't handshake and say that that's good. And don't send wires without verifying everything.
You know what? That's what an addendum is for.
Yes.
You clear everything up. If it's not in the contract and something else comes up where you guys have made a new decision, write an addendum. Yeah. Even people that are selling stuff on their own, you can get forms.
Yeah.
You can get the proper form, get it signed, both of you sign, both of you date it. Absolutely.
Even little shit. If you're like, oh, I'm going to have the seller put in a new doorknob for me, put that in the contract. Seller has to give a new doorknob before you close, and make sure that you both have signed it. There is so many things that you can put in there. It's little and it seems petty at the time, but if you're expecting a handshake, people are nice, but they're not that nice.
You know what? People are nice until it comes to property and money. Yes. Even your washer and dryer. If you want the washer and dryer, then you need to put it in the contract and everybody agrees that you get the washer and dryer. Otherwise, it's heading out of there.
Amen. Okay, well, now that we gave you guys all the negative stuff, we're going to do rapid fire Q&A again. And I'm the one that got the questions this time again, but Trisha's going to do, it's not going to be me all the time, but
No,
I'll
it's not.
too though, because I think they're so funny. So, and these are super random. If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
It would be a hamburger with no pickles, no onions, no mustard. That's the work of the devil, and lots of Thousand Island dressing.
That's a good one. I think mine would be like a sandwich, like a turkey sandwich with but with all the fixings on it, especially oh my gosh, sprouts. Oh my gosh, sprouts are good. And it makes the sandwich so good. Super healthy, but they are good. I don't know what it is about them. And cucumbers on the sandwich.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love cucumbers on a sandwich, cucumbers, tomatoes, but I have to say sprouts, why don't you just go out and eat off the backyard? They're disgusting.
They're so
They're disgusting.
I love them. I don't love the texture, not gonna lie. The texture is pretty disgusting. And I'm like, why? These things are like gonna be stuck in my teeth, but I do love the flavor. And cucumbers. Cucumbers on a sandwich. Oh my gosh. Yesterday I actually had a tuna sandwich. I made a tuna sandwich for everybody. And we did cheese on sourdough bread. And then I did mayonnaise and a little bit of Miracle Whip, which my husband was like, "You're disgusting." But I told him the Miracle Whip is what makes it have like just that little bit of flavor. You don't do a lot. You don't, because it's sweet and zesty and whatever. But I did just enough. And guess what? It was a hit. But I also put pickles, onions, a little bit of mustard because my husband loves it. It was such a good sandwich. I was like, wow, this is a good sandwich. I don't know if everybody thought it was, but my husband and I did. So who cares about everybody else?
You know, it just a lightly toasted piece of wheat bread with a little mayo and some cucumber. Oh, that's so good.
Yes.
That's so good. A little bit of sea salt, just a little bit, people. Yeah.
Yes.
That's so yummy.
I love a good sandwich, but I could probably do a hamburger too. I do like hamburgers, especially when I'm craving a hamburger.
Yes.
Those are so good.
One where it kind of runs down your arm a little bit because it's so juicy. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What's the most useless talent you have?
Oh my gosh. Well, useless talent.
Yeah, I'm like, what do I have? I feel like I use my stuff. I don't feel like I have a lot of like abnormal talents. So
I don't know. Like I've always said, yeah, I'm a Jill of all trades. Now, depending upon how you take this, I can tie a knot with a cherry stem. So for some people, it's useless. For some people, it's a real talent. So
yes, I used to be able to do that when I was younger, but I haven't tried it in my adult years because I don't like cherries. And so now I'm like, I know. I haven't tried it, but Trish isn't lying. We just tried this at a restaurant actually, and another gal did it, and it was just awesome. I was like, wow, so old school. It's funny. Yeah, I don't have any talents that like I can walk like 8 miles and not even think about it, which I do think that's really odd because when I tell it to people, I didn't until I started telling people, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, 8 miles." And I'm like, gosh, it feels pretty easy. I don't know. So maybe useless talent because
that's a useless routine.
it is kind of useless, not gonna lie. It gets pretty boring too. Oh, let's see. If you woke up as an animal, what would you be?
Oh, I'd be a panther.
Oh, I love panthers.
Yeah. They're like sleek, kind of quiet,
Sexy.
unassuming. and they just pounce the shit out of you.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would be, but
or a dog. Oh my God, they live the best life ever.
Oh, sure. Unless they live in Mexico and they're like in the not great areas, they live terrible lives. But
yeah,
I think being a sloth would be fun too, because they have nothing to do but nap all day. Like they just live their best lives. They just eat, hang out in a tree and hide and sleep. But I'd probably rather be like a bird, like an eagle or something that can go around, catch fish and see all the things and like fly. Like that'd be sweet.
Yeah. You could never be a sloth, but good try.
No, I couldn't. No. But that's just me. That's just me wanting to slow down. If I could slow down, I'd want to be a sloth. Okay, this is a good one. What's the worst fashion trend you ever participated in?
The worst. Wow. I'm going to say, now my hair is curly for people who don't know me. I'm going to say it was the Farrah Fawcett hair. So instead of just letting it go natural, I made sure that I took a curling iron and gave it that curl in the top and then on the sides. So I made it go a certain way. Now I just wash and shake, and whatever it does, it does. Yeah. I don't know if that was the worst, but when you look back on it, you're kind of like, really?
Yeah.
You really need to do that with the millions of others that did it? Okay.
I had some pretty gross bangs as well for talking about hair, but I think low-rise jeans were disgusting. Like low-rise jeans are still a thing, but they are disgusting. Whoever makes those for women is rude. And the women that wear them, like, congratulations, you're incredible, because I don't know, the vagina's really short, your guts are hanging out. So if you're like an adult, well, frick, everybody actually. Everything's just hanging out. Your butt crack hangs out when you bend over. I feel like yeah, low rise are not cool, but I did wear them when I was younger, and I still think they're disgusting.
What I think is funny is they talk about, the mom jeans where they come all the way up to the waist. So I would rather have them at the waist, and that's pretty much been my entire life. I don't need them falling off of me.
Yeah.
So,
all day I would rather have a mom jean.
But don't call them mom jeans. Now they're just called a higher waist jean.
Yeah, a mid-rise. I'm good for a mid-rise, but if your ass is hanging out, something is wrong. You have a problem. I accidentally bought a pair of low-rise not too long ago, and my husband was like, "You should try those on." I'm like, "No, I know my size." And when I got them home, I put them on, and I was like, "Where'd the rest go?" I have a camel toe the whole time I'm wearing them. They're disgusting. They're awful.
What's even more funny is that you didn't take them back. You wore them even though you had a camel toe.
I only wore them for like 10 minutes. I put a whole outfit on and I was still getting ready, and I was like, I can't wear these again. I can't wear these. I can't pull them up. They're in my vagina. These are terrible. I was like, nope. I took them off, put all the tags in the pocket, and I did take them back and got a mid-rise. I don't know who makes these or who buys these, but those people are incredible. They're either really talented or I don't know. There's something about them that is way cooler than me, because gross. All right, that's it for now. I have so many good ones, but I'll do one more. If you could time travel, what era would you visit first?
I would say probably the flapper era.
Oh, yes.
It was just kind of, prohibition hadn't happened and people were just kind of loose and fun, and
Yes.
you could still, but if you still had a stick up your butt, you could still wear that, dress and corset. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think probably then.
Yeah. Honestly, I like every era except once we start getting into the 2000s, I would say. Once we got to the 2000s, I feel like it's kind of all been the same, but
It was just repeating itself anyway.
yeah, I agree. But I do think like the 70s were cool with the bell bottoms and all the things, and when they could go to festivals and everybody could just be hippies and have fun, and there was no chaos like there is now. I think
Peace and love, baby. Peace and love.
yes, I think all those times were so good. The 2000s, I feel like, are just a funny era. They're just funny.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I have. Do you have anything else today?
No, I think I am good. Good. Yeah. We'll be back next time. Make sure that you tune in again.
Yes. And until then, you can find us anywhere online at nwescrowtitle.com is our website. NWescrowtitle is our at everything on social media. So till then, we'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.